This is a continuation of Section 3. In this video, we will cover how to assist a fallen resident and the steps to get them back up. Secondly, we will cover how to stand a resident up from a seated position and how to turn residents in bed safely, for both you and the patient. And lastly, we will cover what to do when a resident is unable to cooperate or be supported back up. When you see a resident that has fallen, the first steps to getting them back up is to begin with checking if they are conscious or not. In this example, the resident on the floor SJ is unconscious. To check, you must gently shake them by the shoulders and ask as loud and as clear as possible if they are all right. If you do not get a response, call emergency services straight away and ask for an ambulance. Your first aid training will have covered the rest of this, so I won't go into further detail. Otherwise, refer to first aid training procedures. I will now begin to explain the procedures if the resident is conscious. This video is an American example, but showcases the exact same techniques that we use to support a patient from the floor. 999 should be called for any emergencies and not 911. Handlers should kneel to the side of the patient and explain what will happen. Instruct and support the patient to bend both their knees, starting with the strongest legs. Move the arm closest to your body away from their body in the direction you will be turning them, and then instruct the patient to roll onto the side pointed by their hand on their chest until their palm is flat onto the floor. Instruct or move the topmost leg over to their side. Instruct the patient to push up on their hand and at the same time push up on the forearm and keep pushing up until they end up on all fours. Instruct the patient until they are facing a surface they'll be able to sit on. Instruct them to place their hands or support their hands on that surface. Instruct the patient to raise their strongest leg and support them to straighten that leg and to push up on the strongest leg. Once they are standing, ensure they are stable on their feet and ask them to sit or turn onto the surface they will sit on, or ask someone for help to slide a chair behind them to sit on. Question 1. What is the first thing you should do before trying to support a patient from a fall to standing? I will now be showing you how to stand a resident from their seat. The first two steps will be the incorrect way to do it. This is one of the ways that a resident can be helped to stand up, and sometimes the most often used by those not trained in safe manual handling. This manual handling technique and posture creates unnecessary stress on your spine, and with the load of the resident adds weight onto your frame, which could injure you or hurt you over a long period of time. The red circles highlight where stress is placed due to leverage. Another common incorrect technique is the arm under the patient and pulling them up from one side. Not only does this cause the same exact stress on your spine, but just like the last one, can also bruise or injure underneath their armpits. And maybe even due to their age and frailty break tendons or separate bones connecting their arms due to the force required to pull them up. This third clip is how I was taught as a trainer. I've slowed it down to explain. You must first place one of your hands depending on your side on the resident's back and the other on the front of their shoulder. Then slowly, on a count of 3 or however you'd like, sway the patient forwards and backwards. This will create a leveraging force that'll help them stand up when supported from both the front and the back. And when they are stood up, always take a few seconds to ask if they are steady and assess yourself if they are stable enough to walk. Question 2. Why is it not advised to hold residents under their arms? What could happen? The last topic in Section 3 of your manual handling training will be to do with hoisting a resident, the pre-checks before hoisting, and the process itself. Hoists are used in the care home on a day-to-day basis, 24 hours at times. This could be due to normal daily care or at night when a resident requires transferring back to bed or in the morning to go into their chairs. Hoists have many checks due to their mechanisms that can often go faulty due to human or machine intervention. Hoists are covered by LOLA. What is LOLA? LOLA requires that all lifting operations involving lifting equipment must be properly planned by a competent person, appropriately supervised and carried out in a safe manner. The first checks required when approaching a hoist and waiting to use it is to find and check the inspection tag. Whether it needs servicing or is approved by a hoist engineer for usage and when its next inspection is. The next check is the battery. In Silvertrees, we have a battery charging station in the nursing floor that holds up to 5 batteries. The batteries must be checked regularly if they're charged or charging, and they sometimes have a screen to show if they're charged or not. To remove a battery, they commonly have a metal spring mechanism to unclip the battery from the hoist port behind the arm. And to put it back on is to simply slide it down gently until you hear a click. Do not wiggle the battery as this may damage the port, instead just give a light tap on the back. The third check is the emergency button. You must check if this works by pulling the button towards you, and this will stop any functionality that the hoist has with its arm. Pressing it down will resume all functionality. The fourth check is to ensure whether or not the arm works. Most, if not all, hoists in the care home will only have 2 functionalities with their hoists: up or down. Remember to pull or press the emergency button depending on hoist manufacturer to ensure that the arm is working. The last check will be whether or not the legs work. The legs are used to ensure the hoist will fit around furniture or beds. Most hoists have levers or pedals to close and open the legs. You can test each one by lightly tapping or pushing the left and right pedals, and to find out which one closes or opens the hoist legs. Question 3. If the service label for a hoist is past its inspection date or expired, should you use the hoist knowing perfectly well that it still works? Due to time constraints, the next clip being shown will be a full comprehensive guide on how to apply a sling on a resident sitting on a chair, how to turn and apply a sling on a resident in bed, and how to safely do the hoisting procedure to ensure proper and safe practices are being met.
From one place to another. Before we apply a sling, you need to be checking that all the information is on the back of the sling, washing instructions and serial codes, and the label is always on the outside of the sling. I'm going to ask the service user to sit forward for me. Thank you. And the sling goes right down the back. Ensuring it's under the breastbone and tied nice and tight. Okay. So bring the legs round. Ask the service user to lift leg. Ensure the straps of the sling is on the upper part of the leg. And the other one. Cross the straps in the middle. Are you okay to be hoisted, Tracy?
Yes, I am.
Bring in the hoist, ensuring the carry bar is stabilised at all times. Attach the loops to the bar. Check the moving and handling plan for details of this. So white shoulders, Jodie, blue legs. So ensure the service user's arms are outside of the sling. You ready, Tracy?
Mm-hmm.
Up we go. Keep your head back. Jodie, can you support the legs for me? Bring the hoist round under the bed. Watch out for wires under bed. And Trace is positioned. And lower the hoist. You okay, Tracy?
I'm fine, thank you.
Lower the hoist enough to release the straps comfortably, but not touching the service user's body. Once undone, remove the hoist out of harm's way and take off the sling. I'm going to raise the head of the bed. And sit Tracy forward and remove the sling. All slings must be checked for holes, frays, any loops, look worn, and ensuring it's clean. So the fitting of a sling. Roll the service user onto the side. Attach the sling, ensuring some of the bottom. The aim being that the service user's in the centre. Right, Tracy, do you want to roll over to me? Feed the leg pieces through both legs. Attach in the middle and through the largest loop. Bring in the hoist. Watching the carry bar at all times. Lower the bar, don't place on the service user. Read the care plan and the moving and handling plan to ensure you get the right colours for the hoist. Are you ready, Tracy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And raise the hoist. Support in neck and feet if required. And lowering the bed at the same time. Okay? I'm going to pull out the hoist. Open the legs. And always bring the commode or the shower chair, etc. to the service user and the hoist, not the other way around. When service user's in position, then we're going to lower into the chair. Ensure the brakes of the commode are on. Always keep the bar away from the face. Lower the bar enough to the bottom so if it swings, it's not catching anything. Undo the straps. Take the service user away from the hoist. To remove the straps, the sling, you take out the straps Slightly lift the leg. I'm going to assist Tracy to lean forward and remove the sling.
Let's discuss within ourselves. Why is it important that we follow the correct procedure of hoisting step by step? From the slings to the hoisting itself. This concludes your manual handling training video guides and course. Your trainer will now hand you paper to fill in, and you will have around 15 minutes to answer 15 questions on the paper. They are just simple multiple choice answers. You must score around 80% to pass. Please do this in groups of 3 or 4s due to excessive paper usage.